Hello, and we are live. Hi, everyone. I hope you're doing great. Sorry, we started a bit late because um my mentee who is supposed to be on this call with me is having some technical glitches, having some technical issues, but hopefully she will join us as soon as possible. Okay, Dami finally joins in. Um,
Is it better? I
okay,
don't know.
yeah, that's at least I think I can hear you, and I hope our guests or our viewers will be able to hear you as well. How are you feeling today?
I'm feeling all right. I'm good.
Okay, it's the last Sunday of 2025 and it's been a great year. I'll just leave it at that. It's been a great year. For anyone that is just coming across this series of videos, we've been having series of conversation about our impact, reporting our impact for 2025. I am Abimbola Victoria Olide, the Equilibrium Architect, the author of Finding the Equilibrium, and I have a mentorship program called VMAP, Visionary Mentorship Accelerator Program. And towards the end of this year, scholarship was offered to some very, very outstanding young ladies who are doing great things in the field of social impact and social change. And we train them, fully for a program that is worth, if we're just being modest, at least £3,000, and we decide to pour into them and and see what they do with it. And these ladies have been phenomenal. I've had a conversation. So out of the many people that applied for the program, four skilled into the program and one person was dropped at the last minute, and then three people or three young ladies are emerging as the ultimate warriors, or what will I call it? The VMAP graduates. And so I've had conversations with Grace, with Praise, and now today we have Damilola on the stage with me to talk about our impact project. So Visionary Mentorship Accelerator program is a program that helps you find the alignment between your original design and what you are here to do on earth. A lot of us grew up in families, in environments, we went to school, everything. We did everything that they told us to do. Do it how it's been done so that it can be the way it's always been. That's a translation, literation of a Yoruba adage. But at the end of the day, you would agree with me that come out of school, you start looking for a job and you are just part of the bandwagon mentality, and you're wondering, okay, when will the breakthrough come? When will I actually become? When will I hammer like Otedola? When will I become Elon Musk? All of those questions begin at some point in your life. You begin to ask yourself, why on earth am I here? Am I just here to go to school, get married, have children, retire, rinse, repeat, die? It's a whole vicious cycle, and we cannot continue to do things the same way and expect a different result. That is why I wrote my book, Finding the Equilibrium. Finding the Equilibrium is the manual for each of these reformers when they come out of VMAP. So VMAP takes you on a journey of soul excavation, because all of us have been conditioned one way or the other to conform to what the family expects, what the church expects, what the school expects, what the society expects, what the work environment. Everybody has an expectation of you. But have you ever paused to ask the one that sent you, that made you, that had a thought and thought of you and created you? Have you ever paused to ponder what he expects of you? Yes, a lot of us grew up in church and they told you do not sin, the Ten Commandments and all of that. At the end of the day, okay, after all of that is done, is that what you are really here to do? I have a philosophy and I say it, and it's coined from Jeremiah 1:5, where God said, before I formed you, I knew you, I ordained you. Before I formed you, meaning that there was a problem and God thought of a solution and you came up as a solution in his mind. If you've never saw it that way, I hope that this gives you a paradigm shift to make you understand that you're not just here to tick boxes. You're not just here to be part of the masses. You're not here to be part of the bandwagon mentality. You are not here just because you are just part of the 8 billion. God could have made you anything, but he chose to create you in his image and his likeness. So I hope it's landing. I hope you're understanding. So VMAT takes you through that process of getting back to your original design, getting back to where you originally came from, so that you are in tune and in touch with the problem that God created you for, so that you can begin to solve it for our world. Because Miles Monroe once said, and the richest place in the world is the graveyard. It's because it's full of unfulfilled potential. The systems through which all of us are filtered through does not is not really built to help you fully maximize who you are as a human being. It's just enough to squeeze out the barest minimum of labor from you. And once all of that energy is sucked out, they ask you to retire, and then you're wondering where did all the time go. So that is what VMAP does for you. Helps you to accelerate. That's why it's called an accelerator. Helps you to move from where you are right now to a point of clarity, whereby you know why you are here, and then you begin to leverage the systems of, or the systems around you, the systems of this world, this educational system, every system. You begin to see how your original design can be placed on that to give you an elevation. I hope that's has given you some form of clarity of why VMAP is a must have in your educational arsenal. It's a must have for whoever that is watching this. VMAP is the program that you need to attend in the year 2026, no cap. And you're going to be hearing from Dami in a little bit, because um I do say so. My ladies are really, really brilliant and intelligent. So when you listen to them speak, you would understand. So it's not a case of they've not been doing something. All of us are always doing something. But are you really doing what matters? Are you really doing what moves the needle? Are you really doing what serves your ultimate purpose? And I will close with this to before I bring Damian. A lot of us grew up with motivational speakers shouting in our ear, find your purpose, pursue your purpose, go and chase it. Let me break the news to you. Your purpose was never missing in the first place. It was never yours to find. It was always within you. It was always within you. But you need to silence the noise on the outside so that you can hear yourself and the world, that's the bigger world that is on your inside. That is the only time that you cannot begin to live from a place of equilibrium, a place of abundance, a place of flourishing. And I'll leave it at that, and we'll continue this conversation as we go on this conversation. Dami, welcome
Thank you so much, Coach.
to the Impact Conversations. So tell us about you. Who is Dami, and what brought you to VMAP?
Okay, thank you so much for having me here. It's an honor to be doing this with the amazing Coach Abimbola Olide. Damilola Deniji is a healer reformer and story midwife, working at the intersection of emotional healing, storytelling, and relationship education, particularly for women and teenagers. My work centered around ensuring that buried narratives, unhealed pain, unhealed traumas are actually brought into a system where they are turned into healing frameworks, scalable systems where people can gain healing that is truly transformational for them, and they can be able to tell their stories either in a podcast or through book writing. So that's what Danola Denije is in brief. And then
Okay.
for
Sorry, I didn't hear that. Your volume
I
is quite low. I hope our guests are not struggling to hear you as much as I'm struggling to hear you.
wow. Okay. Is it better now?
Still low. Well, just continue, and just maybe you should just try to project as much as possible to
Okay.
enhance the mic.
All right. Ma'am. All right.
Okay. So what brought you to VMAP?
Okay, what brought me to VMAP is the fact that I knew I was operating from passion, from intuition, from gifting, but I knew there was more to what I was doing. And then coming to VMAP, I realized that there are scalable structure that had to be put in place for what I am doing to be accepted and received by institutions, organizations, and even the government. VMAP made me understand how my work is truly rooted in SDG 4 and SDG 5, and how to make this beyond just my immediate environment. It allowed me to put systems in place and not just working and get overwhelmed. That's one of the advantages of VMAP, the ability to be able to translate whatever you're doing into scalable systems. So it doesn't just revolve around you alone or your immediate environment. It's about you being able to also transfer that knowledge into others. So even when you're not working, or probably you're not the one in place to do a particular thing, other people can be able to do excellently what you're meant to do.
Amazing, amazing. So, what was your VMAP experience like? What was it
Okay,
like being in VMAP?
for me, being in VMAP, it's a recalibration for me, because it's more like a re-engineering of your mindset. Sometimes you think you know what you're doing until you get to learn from the best. Then you realize that there is more to know beyond the limited knowledge you probably have initially. You had initially, and that was what VMAP did for me. VMAP re-engineered my mind. Sincerely, Coach Abimbola is someone everyone who truly wants the best, who desires more in 2016, 2026 needs to listen to. You need to listen to her, because this amazing woman will make you think, will make you to think not just on surface level. You will think deeper. You think within yourself, like, what's wrong with me? You have to silence every noise around you, even within you, to come to that place where you are able to quiet and bring to stillness every noise, and be able to re-engineer your mindset to think in the right way, the right frame of mindset. That was what BMAP did for me, a right frame of mindset. It re-engineered my mindset. It made me understood that there was more to what I was doing, and there were systems to put into place and structures that were necessary to put in place.
Amazing, amazing, amazing. That's a great feedback, and I want to go deeper on that. In exploring that further. Like, what was your most profound VMAP experience? Like, at what point did you really like? Yes, every week was a hit back to back. I dare say so myself, but like, at what point was really like, oh my god, like how, like, I think I just, as in, like, no, like, I guess you understand what I mean. Like, what was your most profound VMAP experience?
Okay, I think my most profound BMAP experience would be from the ability to move from this is what I do to this is the problem I solve. You see,
Mm.
it actually helped me to be able to move beyond, okay, these are the giftings I have, these are the passion I have, to these are the problems I am meant to solve. These are the people that really need my solution. These are the institutions or government agency that my solution can be able to provide solutions to. These are the people that really need what I do. So it's beyond I just do this on a normal level, or just within my immediate environment alone. It allowed me to see my work beyond my immediate environment, to see how my work is needed in the world as a global solution. And I think that was a profound one for me at Vima.
Amazing, amazing. I love it. I love it, because it's one thing to say, oh, it re-engineered my mind. It's another thing for you to move from local thinking to national thinking, and then from country to continental, now global thinking, you understand? And that's really, really beautiful. And I think that's one thing that a lot of people need, being able to think beyond yourself, and realizing that your passion or your talent is not for your own self-aggrandizement. It's not for your own self-righteousness. It's for other people. The moment you're able to see beyond yourself and you begin to use what is already in your hands to make the lives of other people better, then the earlier you get closer or faster to where you really, really desire to be. If you help other people to get what they want, you will inadvertently get what you want in life. It's someone that said that. I can't remember. Maybe it was Zig Ziglar. I'm not sure. But if you help other people to get what they want, you will end up getting what you also want. And that is just so profound. So tell us, Dami, what is your origin story?
Okay, my origin story aligns with amplifying voices. healing hearts, and building legacy. And what does this mean? It's actually scaled from the fact that as a young girl, I struggled with first low self-esteem, and I was actually told that you needed to be in a relationship to be tagged beautiful in quotes. So that mindset made me to go into a relationship when I wasn't truly ready for it. So I went into a relationship, and my first relationship was really, I don't know the right word to use right now. It wasn't a good experience. It wasn't a good experience. So I went into this relationship with this person. Then I was schooling in Ibadan. This person was in Lagos. And whenever I come home from school, then in school, whenever you come home, you look a bit slimmer and all of that because of school stress. And this person would tell me then that I can't marry a thin person. That's the word he uses, a thin person. And because of this, I would start eating excessively. I'll start taking multivitamins just to fit into this person's identity or image of a beautiful lady. And then whenever I'm also home during festive season, and probably my parents have fed me so well, and I'm actually increasing in size. The next word this same person will tell me is, "You're becoming fat. I can't marry someone who is fat." And the gullible me then will also start what fasting, exercising, because I want to fit into this person's image of what a beautiful lady. And that really traumatized me. It affected me for a long period of time. When I left that relationship, I would never forget the word this person said. He said he never meant those words. He was just saying that because he never wanted me to feel good about myself so that I do not see any reason to leave that relationship. Imagine how terrible someone can be to make you stay in a relationship and keep pulling you down, saying words that would make you feel lesser than who you're meant to be. But why did this happen? It was because first I was struggling with what? My self-esteem. If I wasn't struggling with my self-esteem, how would someone just tell me a word and then I will just pick it up and then I will let it affect me? I can see this also today in many young ladies, in many teenagers. A lot of them struggle with identity problem, and because of that, they go into relationship for the wrong reasons. In this day and age, you see young girls, 13, 15, 17, our school outreach. You see some of them go on camera online and say, "Look up the number." There is no big deal about you exchanging your money for money. You can imagine that kind of mindset. It is because they were never taught that their body is what priceless. It is because no one ever made them realize that there is more to them. So we have a lot of what decades in our society today. A lot of information has to be done because a lot of young girls, a lot of teenagers are actually what doing things from a place of identity crisis. A lot of them are struggling with their self-esteem, and they're actually covering it up with unnecessary show up on social media. And this is how my origin story is.
Amazing. Wow. Wow. That's so profound. And I want to believe that a lot of young ladies out there can honestly and truthfully relate with what you've just expressed. Because everybody just feels like, oh, once you are 18, it's licensed to go into a relationship. Not only that, you can actually take your time. You can take your sweet time and actually understand yourself, understand the world that you're trying to even engage with before you start even adding anybody into the mix of your life. And you were saying something earlier about the problem that now you realize and you understand the problem. In a sentence, what problem are you solving?
In a sentence, the problem I'm solving is centered around healing the roots and rebuilding the future. So what does this mean? Healing the root simply means going to schools, that is secondary schools especially, through our secondary school outreach, to speak to teenagers, teen girls, so that they can be able to understand what needs to be done, the information that has to be done when it comes to their mindset and when it comes to the area of relationship education. So they don't repeat the traumatic experiences, the pain we see in adulthood relationships today.
Amazing, amazing. So basically, you're solving the roots problem because everything starts from the roots. Because even like the scripture says, if the foundation be destroyed, what can the righteous do? And it's still the same teenagers that will become adults tomorrow. The adults that you are wondering Why are they stealing the national cake? Why is there corruption? Why is there so much pain? Why is there so why they why they can't even they won't even bait an eyelid to before they hurt somebody? Adults without empathy. These are the issues. These are the things. Hurt people hurt others. Hurt people hurt others. So let us begin. So you can see why Dami's work is very important. If we begin the healing from when they are young, they can grow up to become adults that are healed, and then they inadvertently heal the world. Heal the world, make it a better place for you and for me, and it's not when people are so there, it's not at the end of the day. In secondary school, when they are teenagers, it's still like a very, very good time. There was something my mom used to tell me when I was a teenager, like, right now you are still like, how um the analogy she uses is like when a fish when you catch a fish from the river and it is still fresh, it's easier to bend, you know and probably put use like maybe a stick to hold together to do the roasting. But and then that's like when it's still almost like immature, or like still bendable, still mendable, still moldable. But it's like the moment you're an adult, it's like you are trying to bend a fish that is already what's it called, has already been roasted. So when you bend it to break, and that's why we have a lot of adults that cannot handle the weight of being an adult. It is a whole lot of what's it called now, load on their mental health. That's why we have a lot of mental health crisis. That's why we have a lot of anxiety. We have a lot of, because nobody prepares you for this thing. There's a whole lot of garbage that a lot of us are carrying from when we are young. This uncle hurt us, that person molested us, this person did said this to us, it's eroded our self-esteem and all of that. And that brings me, so we've and I won't, now thinking about it, Dami, origin story, yes, casting our mind back to what you just said about your origin story, but something must have triggered that low self-esteem. Is that something that you like to share with us? Because I know that your program has the project that you did for VIMA has to do with the inner child. So was there something that during your course of VIMA that you're able to link to say, oh yes, this is because it's not just a case of you were looking for someone, you just appeared on earth at 18, 19, and then you started looking for love because you didn't have self-esteem. You understand? A seed must have been sown when you were younger. Is that something that you can just run us through quickly?
Yes, I would love to share. Okay, while I was younger, I wasn't even up to 13
The
at the
volume is
time.
really low. I don't know.
While I was younger, I wasn't even up to 13 at the time. So I have this relative, close relative, that will always tell me, she will always tell me, your eyes is big, your this is that. I don't, such things. She will just always tell me things that will make me feel lesser. So whenever we go out, and probably, then I was still younger, and then I was already getting to 14, 15. So she was already probably 19, 20 at that time. So whenever we go out, and then I was still then still younger. Whenever we go out, and probably guys, then they do all this hello, hello, and probably they now call me instead of calling her. She will now say, oh, why are they calling you? But I don't answer them. They want to deceive you. You're ugly and all of that. So those things will always, I will always think of myself like, it seems I'm ugly. Oh. Like whenever I dress up, she'll tell me, why are you looking at the mirror? What are you trying to look at? You want to look at your ugly self? And those words kept eating at me to the extent that they now became more like an identity. I will always look at myself like, I don't think I am good. I don't think I am beautiful. Until one day, when I began to, come to the realization of who I am, especially through the word of God. Then one day I told her boldly, I said, you said I am ugly. I accept. But why is it that whenever we go out, people call me rather than calling you? Then that day, I think that was a turning point for me because she stopped from that day, she stopped using all those negative words on me. That was when I began to gain freedom from her. But that really affected me for years, because even I had her in mind. The reason why I knew I had her in mind was when she gave birth. I struggled with visiting her to even, say hello to her and her newborn. And I know that was unlike me. Then I knew I had to also what heal from that childhood trauma and that wound, because it really affected me for years. Something that traumatized me, that even made me go into a relationship when it wasn't right for me, because of what someone had said, that I actually allowed to become an identity. So that was how
Mm.
those actually began in me as a person.
Wow, amazing. Wow. Thank you for sharing that deeper context, so you can see what keep saying about these things goes in layer. Because how in the world did that kind of person have access to your innocent mind? You know, how in the world were they so present in your life that they were just positioned there like an evil spirit to just destroy your self-esteem, to the point that you even literally threw yourself into fire, but thankfully God rescued you out of it. As in, and that's just so so intriguing on so many levels, and I want to believe that, for anyone that is listening to this, you can see how these things begin. And this is why VMAP is very, very important. It doesn't just excavate, and the moment you are able we are done with excavating, all of these things that people may have done to you that you didn't even realize, because a lot of people, it's during VMAP that they realize the depth of the damage, where it all started from. And then when you go through all of that, you now realize that for you to release some of these things, you have to actually even first forgive. Because imagine you are carrying that much baggage and you now want to change the world. How? How? You can't give what you don't have. No. You have to do these kind of things from a healed place. This is why VMAP is very important for anyone that is interested in social impact, anyone that is purpose driven, you're a visionary leader, and you just be wondering, why are you frustrated, or why are these things not working? Why is everything not together? It's because even you yourself, your inner world is in turmoil and it needs rescuing, it needs healing, it needs cleansing, it needs detoxing. And it's when you do that, there's something we say in Nigeria, that's when you can see road clear. That's when the road can be clear for you to see, because you need to first of all come back to your original design, the identity that God actually assigned to you from the foundations of the world. Amazing, amazing. And how when you were speaking, Dami, I was seeing that, the negative words became your identity. Those negative words she spoke into your life became your identity. And obviously, from everything that he said, we could see how they now began to play out, and you began to look for what was not really missing in somebody else. And it's amazing that when we're now going to pick a boyfriend, you picked someone exactly like that lady, almost as if she placed the magnet on you to attract somebody exactly like herself. Wow. And that's really, really really crazy. For anyone that is listening to us right now, we're not just sharing these impacts, VMAP impacts on Dami and Dami's impact. We're sharing this to let you know that there is a whole lot of work to be done out there. There are a lot of young ladies and young people that are passion driven, purpose driven, that need to go through a program like VMAP. Your job, if you feel that, oh, you are healed and you don't need all of that, it's fine, but somebody around you needs it, and you are a sponsor someone to go through VMAP, because obviously somebody sponsored Damilola for her to have been able to attend VMAP in the first place. Because you don't just VMAP is not just a program that you just enter. No. There are protocols, and of course it's a paid program. So she had a sponsor, and that's why she was able to be on this program. So if you are listening to us right now, VMAP is a program that is, apart from you are sending somebody to the 4 walls of the university and all of those kind of things. Yeah, those are nice to have, but for you to really have leaders that are going to change the world, that are actually going to infiltrate system and reform them from inside out, then you need to send those people, those kind of people with those kind of mindset to a program that is called Visionary Mentorship Accelerator Program. And that's the only place that I can guarantee that you'll be able to have somebody reformed. They themselves have been reformed so that they can become the reformer of wherever God has sent them to go. So, Dami, tell us about your impact projects.
All right, thank you, ma. For my impact project, it is centered on healing the inner wound. This is because if the inner wound is not healed, if your inner world has not received healing, it will have effect on what you give to the world. Just like what Coach mentioned earlier, you can't give what you don't have. And how have I been able to say this in a broader form? Is the fact that I run a program which is on every Tuesday for the past 5 years. It is called Real Life Tuesday. It's an anonymous safe space for people to share their questions around healing, heartbreak, and love matters. And in the last 5 years, we've been able to see questions around relationship, around heartbreaks that really revolves around the fact that people really need an inner reformation. They need to be healed internally so that they can be able to do things rightly externally, especially when it comes to the area of relationship. Just like what she mentioned earlier, if you're not healed, you keep attracting people that are not also what's right for you. Because when you're struggling with low self-esteem, someone who is willing to hurt you will be able to attract you, or be able to sense it that this person is struggling with low self-esteem, so they can really what just get to you easily. But if you've actually built your self-esteem, someone who is always wanting to hurt others cannot easily get what to you, because they'll be able to sense that this person is not what struggling with her self-esteem. So these are part of the work I am doing, and one of the things I've been able to do in this season is that I've started videos content around this, speaking expressly to ladies, especially young women, on the power of healing the inner wound and things around relationship education. And another thing I am working on this year, before next year, which has to do with the teens program, is that I've been able to compile all the questions, answers, and redemption stories from the 5 years of the real life story into a book, because I realized that these stories, this breakthrough must not just go like that. They have to be able to I have to be able to bring them into a place where people can have access to them, just like one of the things I've been able to learn from VMAP, into a scalable systems where you don't necessarily have to speak with me one-on-one anymore. With a book, you can be able to receive insight on some of the questions I've been able to answer in the last 5 years. And what's the title of the book? When real life happens. When real life happens revolves around 100 plus healing stories, heartbreak stories, and redemption stories that people have shared. We have real life experience in the book where people's stories are hidden with permission given. So you, with my that is what my work is revolve around right now. I hope I've been able to answer that, ma'am.
So, what is the impact of the project that you carried out? How many
Oh,
lives were you able to impact? Who came? What did you do?
I'm not sure I got that.
Okay. So, how many lives were you able to impact? Who came? How did you execute this? Because you just went on to talk about, you started creating videos, you went on to talk about a book, you went on, but you've not really told us what project you executed.
Okay, one of the projects I've been able to execute in this time and season is the project where I talked about healing the inner child, which has to do with a podcast where we actually run weekly, where we talk to people about the wounds that are actually affecting people, especially when it comes to relationship today. Some of the topics we've been able to handle is the mother wound, the father wound, things like that. And also I've been able to build a community of over close to 300 people based on my work in this time and in this season, where we share feedbacks, where people ask questions around what I am doing.
Okay, Dami. So what was the actual, so this looks like an ecosystem of something that you have been doing, which VMAP has helped you to sort of put structure to. But this VMAP project, what exactly did you carry out that ties to the VMAP project itself?
Okay, what ties to the VMAP project itself is around healing the roots, and then rebuilding the future. So what ties to the VMAP project itself is where I had a program, a webinar centered around healing the roots. I was able to carry out a webinar, a project around healing the roots, where I had a guest speaker, Dr. Zaina Olayode, where we actually spoke about how you can be able to heal the mother wound, and where we shared real life experiences about how the mother wounds have affected a lot of people, especially if you're a first child born in Africa. You know, as a first child girl in Africa, first born in Africa, they will always tell you things like you have to accept everything, you have to be the first experiment for your family and all of that. And a lot of firstborn struggle with this wound because they are actually affected by it. Most of them realize that they actually have this wound when they also become mothers. And then they realize that they've never been able to forgive their mothers. So those are the things we're able to talk about in this with pertaining to my VMAP project.
Okay, so how many people, how did you carry out this project? How did you get people to know about it? How many people registered? How many people attended?
Okay, for this particular project, 75 people registered, and in attendance, we had over 38 people. Over 38 people. Yes.
Okay, which format did you use to execute the webinar?
We use Facebook, ma'am.
Use Facebook Live.
Yes, please.
Okay, okay, good, good, good. So, what does the future hold for this particular project that you carried out? What's the future projection? Where are you taking this to?
Okay, ma. For the future of this project, just like I mentioned earlier, the first reason why I had to bring about the book When Real Life Happens is that the fact that when real life happens is the foundation. I want people to be able to see the work I've been able to do in the last 5 years, and now leading it back to the roots. What is the root? Healing the root that has to do with the teenagers. You know, when people are able to, the foundation has been able to give me data and be able to provide numbers of what research work around what is really affecting adults in relationships. So my ability to gather those data gave me an in-depth knowledge of what my work should revolve around for the roots. Now my secondary school outreach is going to be beyond what we've been doing initially. So we are next year, some of the projects we are going to be handling for secondary school outreach is that we'll also be having a book resource material for them. We'll be going to a good number of schools beyond just Lagos State. Initially, our project has been centered around Lagos State. Now we are looking at least 5 states in Nigeria for next year to be able to bring this message of healing the roots for secondary schools, where young girls can be able to see themselves beyond just exchanging their bodies for money, when they can be able to see that they are priceless and that there is something unique about them, and when they can also be equipped with either writing abilities, and some of them can also be equipped with the ability to be able to speak or share their stories on podcast if they are not willing to probably write a book. Because through this, their stories will not just heal them alone, it will also be able to heal the world. And through that, they can also be able to see themselves beyond their immediate environment and be able to develop their self esteem. And this will allow them not to just live a wayward life, but to see themselves as someone who can add value to the society.
Amazing, amazing. So with everything that you've said, what kind of support do you need to take this to the next level? You know, somebody is watching this right now and say, okay, I like Dami's story. It's inspiring. I it reverberates, it's resonating with me. I've had, somebody is feeling like, okay, how can I support her? So for whoever that is there, how can you be supported? How can this movement be taken to the next level? For sponsors, for supporters, what what do you need?
All right, thank you, ma. First, I need volunteers, people that are willing to go to schools with me, people that have and that have heart for the young ones, that have heart for the teenagers. So I need volunteers, people that are truly willing to take this message with me to secondary schools around the state, that is 5 states in Nigeria, for next year. I also need people who can support with funding, because we are going to be giving these girls resource material in form of books for them to be able to also read. So to produce this book and have it in a published form, we need support from people for this. We also need support in the area of publication. When I mean publication, to be able to speak on probably programs when it comes to the government, to be able to support what we do and be able to see our work beyond just our immediate environment, where they can give publicity to our work and let the world know that the young girls, teenagers are not just after, and every teenager or every young girl in Nigeria is not just about money alone, but they are doing impactful work in the society where they can support us by making them see our work. I think these are part of the support that I would appreciate.
Hmm. Are you sure that is everything that you need? Say it now. Oh. Say everything. Like, pitch yourself like your life depends on it, because somebody is watching now. Somebody will watch the recording of this, and you need to make the impression that yes, she knows what she's doing. Yes, you've sounded like you know what you're doing so far, but at the end of the day, how how far are you taking this, and how much of it of this is a passion, or how much of this is a movement? Is Dami still there? I can't see Dami.
I'm here, ma.
Okay, so the question is, how much of this is a passion and how much of this is a movement? So yes, you've sounded like you have a passion for it, but now I want you to pitch this like it is a movement that people need to get on. Where is Dami? This is the oddest time for you to be off screen and not to be saying anything. Uh, okay. So for anyone that has been watching us live, or that you're watching the recording, you can see there is a whole lot of work to be done. And VMAP is doing the work of healing, the work of soul excavation, the work of identity reform, the work of placing you on the global platform, on the global map, and helping you to see your work from a bigger dimension beyond yourself. So VMAP needs your support to be able to bring in people like Dami, people like Praise, people like Grace, to get on board, to be educated correctly. So the minimum criteria is for you to, even first of all, you have to have be a graduate, finished, done with school and all of that. You're trying to navigate this VUCAD world, first of all. And then the other criteria is that your heart must be in social impact, volunteering, social enterprise, NGO, and all of those things. You must have the heart for that kind of thing, for you to be able to be on board with Vima, because it takes a certain kind of people, a certain kind of heart, a certain kind of mindset for you to be able to survive Vima, because it is not for the faint heart, it is rigorous. It has you, because it will take you beyond yourself. And if you go and watch the conversation with Grace, you see where she said that at some point she was going to give up, but when she thought of the people for whom she was sent to, for whom she needed to become, for whom she needed her mindset to be re-engineered, she kept on with it. And now she found herself, on the other end of the program. And whatever blessing that you get, it starts with you before it begins to get to people around you, topics of the society or the nation or the world. So everything that you learn first starts with yourself. Because look at Grace, look at Praise, look at Dami. Everything that you learn in Vima first starts with you. And like I always say, before you can reform anything, you yourself need to be reformed. You need to start with yourself. Physician, heal thyself. It needs to start with you, because charities begins at home. And of course, you are your own first home, your own the relationship that you are looking for. You must first have that relationship with yourself. There is something everybody says, me, myself, and I. So you have your body, your spirit, and your soul. What kind of relationship do these three entities have? Is there a cohesion? Is there a balance? Is there an equilibrium? And like I've said, I mentioned at the beginning of this conversation, we all must find the equilibrium between our inner world and the outer world. And that is why my book, Finding the Equilibrium, was written. That is why it was written. So, you know, so even this book needs to be in the hands of everyone that, yes, 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 yes. Dami has her own copy. And you see, so this is the old, so it comes in two different covers. So you see, she has this cover. Yes, thank you, Dami, for sharing that. So it is very, very important that finding the equilibrium gets to the hands of many youths as possible, and it gets into the hands of as many people as possible. And it is important that those people, it's one thing for you to read a book. It reminds me of the story. Was it Philip and the Ethiopian eunuch that was reading the book of Isaiah, and he said, do you understand what you're reading? He said, how will I understand except somebody explains it to me? So it's not that Finding the Equilibrium is written in English. It's very, very relatable, and the story format that you would practical stuff. But if you want to now go deeper, it's like you have a manual, but then the practical and then the in-depth, you can see this is, so what we are doing right now is also part of VMAP, presentation skill, being able to present yourself, present your ideas, and be able to sell yourself to to the world, and for people that your message resonates with, are able to also resonate with you. Dami, is there something you want to share with us from the book? Because I see you flipping through.
Okay. I think one of the things I would love to share, let me open to that particular page. Okay. All right. Can you hear me, coach?
Yeah, it's quite low, but I think I can manage.
All right. Um, Let me make the statement first before I move into what I want to talk about. One of the statements that stood out for me in the pages I've been able to read from this book says, we must abandon the binary argument of drop out to be great versus stay in school to succeed. The real solution lies in an equilibrium, a new model of education that balances institution support with individual ingenuity. We must abandon the binary argument of drop out to be great versus stay in school to succeed. The real solution lies in an equilibrium, a new model of education that balances institutional support with individual ingenuity. This simply means that we must come into a place where we are no longer just about saying probably people have to go to school and probably drop out for them to be great, or for them to probably stay in school for them to succeed. Like our African parents would always, believe that you have to go to school, get a job, and that's the way to live. That's the pattern, the template they believe you have to succeed. There is a new way to succeed in this day, and you must not just follow the old pattern. New ways are being made this day, and this is one of the things that the book Finding the Equilibrium helps us understand, that you and I can be great, even probably beyond your educational qualification. There is more to you beyond whatever you might have even studied in school. In this day and age, we even have a lot of people that are probably doing things they never studied in school. So those are part of the things Finding the Equilibrium make you understand. It brings a balance to what you probably think you got from the institution you went to, and to the real life experience. There is a real world beyond whatever educational qualification you had. Thank you so much, ma'am. I think I would love to
Amazing,
pause here.
amazing. Okay. And before you went off grid, I was saying that yes, you've made a good case of showing the passion behind what you're doing. So I said I'm giving you another opportunity to show to imagine that you are before a potential sponsor, a potential funder, and present what you're doing as a movement. You see what I mean? There's a difference between a passion, purpose driven, and all, and a movement. So I'm giving you the opportunity again to pitch this, because it's not that, oh, I need volunteer. And no, do it the VMAP way. Do it like a lion. Now you have the floor.
Thank you, thank you so much for this opportunity. My name is Damilola Adeniji, and my work is centered around healing hearts, reforming reformation of what the roots. And when I talk about reforming the roots, I'm talking about reforming unhealed patterns, buried narratives that allows people to live below their what identity, below who God has called them to be. In a world where we have a lot of people, especially young teenagers, living below identity. What do I mean by this? A lot of young teenagers today are already so what have already gotten so rooted in addiction, because no one has made them understood that there is more to them beyond their life, beyond the life they are living. Probably they are living a life which is centered around social media, which is centered around what they can get as an exchange for their body, which is money. There is more to life beyond that. We have to come to the realization that these young people need to build first their self-esteem, because when you struggle with your self-esteem as a child, every other thing will not be able to what come into correspondence with who you're meant to be. So one of the things my movement is centered around is bringing about a solution to the identity problem that young people are suffering from: identity reformation. Because when their identity is rooted in Christ and in who they will have the mindset to live above the mundane, to live above what money can only give them. They will begin to see themselves even as reformer, as people who can bring impact to the world. And how can you support this movement with me? By also ensuring that you support, probably as a volunteer, by ensuring that you provide funds, by ensuring that you allow this movement that I do to be scalable into institutions, organizations, and even government parastatals, where they can be able to hear the work I do, see the work I do, give them the portfolio proposals about what I have done, and be able to support fully even when we are working towards a conference. But at the moment, we are actually working on a book. When I mentioned earlier, the first book is When Real Life Happens. The second book is From Roots to Wings. And what is From Roots to Wings centered around? This is for the teenagers. Is the ability for you to understand that when the roots is restructured, when the root is reformed, you are able to fly. But when the root is destroyed, just like what scripture says, if the foundation is destroyed, what can the righteous do? When the root is not reformed, there is an inability for you to be able to fly or to soar to the highest level where you are meant to be in life. So the book From Roots to what to Wings will bring teenagers to that understanding that when their roots are healed, they can become more, just like some of the teenagers they see beyond their immediate environment doing exploits, so that they can see themselves beyond just only what money can do. Our own teenagers in this world, especially in Africa, in Nigeria, can also begin to begin movements that are what beyond just what dancing on TikTok, beyond just what coming on social media to just say things that are not relevant to the society. These are some of the things my work is centered around, allowing young girls to see that they can also be able to what do exploit, see themselves that they can also become the likes of what people that are writing books. Some of us who can relate with Chiamamada, writing books, people that are what amazing writers across the globe, so that they can share their stories of impact. With this, they are able to also what see themselves beyond Nigeria as a country. And that is one of the things my work is revolved around as African story midwife, helping these young girls bring that story of art and healing into the world, where the global markets can be able to what hear their story and be able to what learn from it, and see that African women might have been hurt, might have gone through what emotional traumas, might have gone through wounds as a child, but they are now coming to that stage, that's what that reality, that there is more to them, and they are being reformed, their mindset is being re-engineered into what a person of impact, influence, and even able to what now make income beyond what the society are probably what look down on us as, because most times they look at down on women, like women are just supposed to probably earn in certain figures, or women are supposed to just live a particular kind of lifestyle. That is one of the things my work is centered around, letting people see that women are beyond just the kitchen alone. There is so much that women can do and become when we support them, when we give our heart to them, when we make them see that their body is not just only the only means for survival, when we make them understand that their body is not the only means for them to be able to get money, that their brain can also work, make them get what money, build wealth, riches beyond their immediate environment. So I need your support as a person, as institutions, as a television broadcast or television programs, radio programs, to support the work I'm doing, to see that there is a reformation going on right now for teenagers, and we need your support so that these teenagers do not begin to not continue to linger in the wrong things, in the mundane, where they can be awakened into what they really need and what they can offer the world. Thank you so much, Coach.
Wow. How did you feel after doing all of that compared to what you did the first time?
I feel good. Fantastic.
Amazing. Now I'm sure you set someone's heart on fire, and they will not be able to sleep until they send this movement, this all the support that it needs. And that is what we are talking about. VMAP is not all about the talk or, yes, beyond re-engineering your mind, also give you the platform to be able to tell the world. Because right now, believe it or not, we're on a stage that we are streaming live on LinkedIn, on Facebook, and on YouTube. LinkedIn alone has over 1 billion subscribers. Facebook, 3 billion plus. YouTube, I think about 2.5 billion. So do the math. Right now, we are standing before over 6 billion people. That's perspective. It might right now it might be, nobody might be watching us live, but I'm just, do you understand? That is actually the potential of how far this can travel. And so, and like I've always told you guys on VMAP, never ever go into a room unprepared. Never miss the point when the conversation has switched to an interview and then you miss the opportunity. Never miss the opportunity where they tell us about yourself as turn to pitch yourself. Do you see it? Must never miss that moment. Every moment, you know. Yes, in as much as you want to be approachable and all of that. um let the lion side be always alert. Let the lion side always be alert. Now, you know what I mean when I say the lion side. You know what I mean. It's been a joy having you to have this conversation, and I can't wait to see what you and your VMAP sisters would do with every weapon that you have been equipped with. You have been mentally equipped, you've been spiritually equipped, you've been equipped in every way possible. And even this program, of course, even a fundraising expert as you know, as also taking you through what you need to do. So everything that you need has been given to you. So it's now for you to make yourself, your family, those that you've been sent to, me, your coach, and ultimately God proud. I can't wait to see what you all are going to do in 2026. And hopefully, this time next year, we'll be having another impact reporting to see how Roots Conference went.
Amen.
Aha, to see how everything, played out, what the movement has made. Your sister praise our movement is about the 10,000 women force for creatives, and Grace is all about, empowering the teenager to not just be dependent on anyone, but to be independent. And you are empowering them, for healing, so that healed people would heal the world, and then they will not come out as we need to heal as many people as possible, so that our world can ultimately begin to heal from the inside out. And that's something remarkable. No matter how crazy the world gets, we must do our part, because it might just seem like, oh, you're pouring water into the ocean. Well, like I've always said, I am an endless flowing ocean. There is more. Like Praise said yesterday, like she needs to give all that she has so that she can continue to flow. And that is the VMAP mentality. We are not giving of ourselves, of our time, of our wisdom, of our knowledge from a place of, oh, we are hoarding. We are giving from a place of abundance, because the one who has given us the enablement is not running short of supply. He has it in abundance. So the more you do, the more he gives. And that's scriptural. He who is faithful with little shall be faithful with much. When you do something with the two that he has given you, it multiplies, and then he gives you more. When you do something with the five that he has given you, it multiplies in your hand, and then he gives you more. But if you have one and you don't do anything with it, even that one you have will be taken from you. You see? So these are kingdom principles. And we thank God for the wisdom to be able to actually see the principles play out in each of our lives. And at the end of the day, it can only get better. For those of you that are watching this, I would advise you to go and subscribe to Mountains of Influence podcast, because that's where we're having deeper kingdom-minded conversations with top-tier kingdom-minded professionals that are already doing amazing stuff in their spheres of influence, doing great things in their mountains of influence. And yeah, I think Dami has dropped off the call, probably network issue, but yes, it's been amazing having Dami on the call. And until next time, I am Abimbola Victoria Lide, the Equilibrium Architect. Make sure that you subscribe to every program that I'm doing, the freebies and the premium ones, and make sure you get my book, Finding the Equilibrium. Your life cannot remain the same. Nah, nah. You know, somebody described the book as both a therapy session, a coach. It's everything that you need a book to be a companion. So on that note, I'm signing out tonight, and it's the last Sunday of 2025. I'm wishing you a very, very prosperous 2026, and see you soon. Au revoir.